Okay, like many of you, or if you're watching this video, it's probably happened to you too. This got really, really tight, and to the point where I tried following the instructions I've seen online. You can see the grease stain right here. The first time it helped, the second time it didn't, and eventually it just got so stiff that I ordered a replacement. So I'm going to take this one apart and show you what it looks like, and I'm hoping I can learn. If I'm posting this, that means I figured out a way to properly oil this thing so I can do the passenger one and not have to replace it. Now, the first thing I'll say is removing this one. There's a bunch of videos online for how to do that, so I'm not going to do that myself, but I will tell you, when you watch them do it online, it looks really easy, and that's probably because they've already done it 5 or 6 times. The first time, it was very, very difficult. It took a whole lot of pressure. So, you've got this little catch right here that's stopping things, and you got to push it in, but there's really not much give there. So keep trying, you'll get it eventually. So I started taking this apart once and then quickly realized that I would not be able to get it back together. It would probably, I glued the seams that I popped, so this may be a little easier for me than it will be. Well, hopefully you don't need to do this, but I'll try to get this open on camera without, well, yeah, okay, on camera without stabbing myself. Like that, and get it Torx. It's a T10. I had to dig these out because I don't use them very often. And the light bulbs look like fuses. It's kind of fascinating. So there's a prickly edge here to hold the fabric. That kind of hurts. So that's why I'm not just grabbing it and ripping it open. You can see where I glued it. It's about as far as I had it the first time. Okay, I don't think that's going to go back together very easily because that's just melted plastic. You might could glue that, but I wouldn't count on it. The part we want to figure out is how to properly oil that guy right there. So okay. Well, that's what it looks like. I'll mess with it, but I don't need to film that. So I'll come back. Okay, so before I rip this thing to shreds, I got to figure out why. So the spring is this piece of metal, And I'm really not sure why it gets tighter with age, but I gotta figure out why this moves freely, even if you turn it to pinch. And to do that, I'm gonna take all this off, which means pretty much bending it to the point where it's not gonna come back. So far, I don't see an obvious way to improve this. And in fact, I'm a little surprised oil ever helps. I mean, I suppose you want oil in there between the metal and the plastic. You know, you can see it it rides these flat edges on the post, or whatever you want to call it. And you can see it's not bulged out when it's on these flat parts, and then if you can get it up on the round parts, it's, you know, separated a little more. So that's the spring part, and I suppose it's that metal rubbing against that black, I suppose that's plastic piece. But like I said, I'm gonna have to take this apart. I don't understand. You would think if it's pinching it that hard that wouldn't move, and it moves quite easily. So it may just be a matter of this metal needing to rub against this piece of plastic. But if that's the case, I'm not sure how you would take care of that, because you know, it's gonna be, so it's right there. I guess if you stick the nozzle or your the WD-40 or whatever in here and get it past, yeah, I don't know. So one thing I tried is I drilled a hole right there, thinking if I could get more oil in here, it would take care of it, but it really didn't. Now, if I can get oil, I guess, on that plastic, I'll try that before I rip it to shreds. I'll see how much that helps. Okay, so hopefully this helps you. I still don't know quite how I can do my passenger one. But when I'd say it's important to make sure this is open. So if it's snapped all the way down, there's not room for anything in there. But I'm just doing silicone because it's not quite as messy. But like grease probably works better. But doing that definitely makes it easier. You can see where it snaps when it closes, but I think that probably makes it tolerable. The problem is, you know, I thought I could just grease this. I put white grease on this and then slid it in, and I thought that would take care of it. But the problem is, you don't need to oil that, you know, surface. You need that black piece of plastic or ceramic or whatever it is. So by pinning this halfway open, you end up putting space in there, and you can get more oil down in there. And like I said, if I was going to keep this, I would probably spray white lithium grease in there and see if that would kind of last longer. But as far as how to do it without tearing this thing up, you gotta be careful. You don't want to drill the white. You just want to drill away the gray, or in my case, I don't know what color yours is. The bottom may be safer because you can just drill right here, and you're gonna end up down in that. You want to end up down in that channel right there. So ideally, you can put the tube. And let's see if it's wide enough. No, it won't go all the way through. I was thinking if you could get it in there with no resistance, then you'd know for sure that you'd got it in the right spot, but it's not quite wide enough for that. You could try it with an awl or something. But yeah, so if you can get it right there. Now, you may have to do like me and just give up on keeping this thing from getting greasy. That's the only way I see to do it, so that's what I will try to do on my passenger side. Okay, so if you can see that, without the fabric, I don't know, can you get in there? No, you can't, because there's a piece of gray plastic over top. So it looks like what I tried to do would have worked. I drilled a hole below it. I just happened to be where this tab is, and I wasn't quite low enough, I guess. Yeah, it's gonna be a hard needle to thread. Yeah, so there's round parts here that hold this in place, and you got to get through. Basically, if you just drill in, I don't know, a 1/4 inch below where the metal part is, you're gonna hit a lot of gray plastic pretty much the whole way. Because even that one's gonna be in the way of where you want to be here. If you can get through all that, you can get some oil inside this metal piece, which is what you got to do. So let me take it apart now. Okay, I pried this off, and I still don't have real great advice to give you, and I'm hoping drilling the hole right there will be enough on my passenger side. I don't have to replace it too. But the one thing I can tell you that I didn't know, that now you'll know too, is the square edges on this rod have nothing to do with the turning. They just position it in place. This square edge is what you're popping against, and that's why it only pops once, not twice. So if you got it attached to the car, you can't roll it that far, but if you're holding it, you can spin it all the way around. And actually, I guess you got to be careful about doing that, because you'll twist up these wires like I did. But anyway, yeah, so your only chance is to get lubrication in between this metal and this metal. And yeah, that is metal. And I scratched it a little bit with the screwdrivers I used to remove it, but it's, I mean, that's the mechanism, is metal on metal. You hear how that popped. And, you know, right now it's moving pretty easy, even though I scraped, well, I guess there's still grease on the inside of this. I cleaned all the grease off of it. So I guess that's how it starts out. And I guess just maybe there's metal grinds down, or there's metal shavings in there that get in there. I'm really not sure. And in theory, the only thing keeping it on is that square edge. So in theory, you could, maybe I could try that. I'm worried I'll destroy it. That was much easier to do because I already loosened this. But you know, in theory, you could wiggle that off. I doubt it would work without destroying maybe that connection or something else. Yeah, so your best bet's pop it partway open, at least a gap, and then get oil into there. And worst comes to worst, mine was maybe less than $100, I think, to replace. And the color's not exactly right, but I don't care. So anyway, I hope this helps someone. It's not the revelation I was hoping for, but maybe you're more clever than I am and you come up with a way to do it. All right, take care.